What's up everyone, welcome back to the channel and welcome to the 2019 Renault Megane RS Trophy 300. That's a mouthful. So I'm one of the last people to actually experience this car because it's been out for a while. So what I decided to do is to actually see what people think about this car and try to see if I can replicate what they say about it. And boy oh boy, I have to say that this is one of the most criticized RS products in a while. A lot of people said that this car is just too stiff for public roads. A lot of journalists complained that the 4Control system that this car is equipped with is not very predictable on the limit, and there were a lot of complaints about the gearbox as well. So without further ado, let's see what's what. So this is the new Renault Megane RS Trophy. It's basically a hardcore version of a version with a more hardcore chassis than the standard Renault Megane RS. The Trophy features the same cup chassis that's an option on the standard car, which has stiffened dampers, springs and anti-roll bars. Then there's bespoke lightweight alloy wheels, cast iron and aluminium grooved front brake discs, and Recaro bucket seats that sit 20mm lower in the cabin. Under the bonnet you have a turbocharged petrol engine capable of producing 300 horsepower and 400 Nm of torque. Wow, hot hatch numbers nowadays are absolutely outrageous. Power goes to the front wheels via a limited slip differential. In the middle there's still a manual transmission as standard, and just look at the size of those wheels and tires and brakes. First things first, the engine, probably the only area in which I haven't read any complaint about the Megane RS Trophy. And that's probably because it's brilliant. Like I've said, 300 horsepower, 400 Nm of torque, and it can take the car from north to 100 km/h from standstill in 5.7 seconds. It's stupidly fast, and because of these weather conditions and because of the fact that I'm driving on really narrow and twisty roads, I've used full throttle like twice, and it was really scary. There's so much power going to those front wheels that if you don't hold on tight to the steering wheel, you might end up in a ditch when going full throttle. That's how violent torque steer is in this car. But other than that, what can I say? Well, it's a brilliant 4-cylinder unit. It's angry, it pulls very well, and it sounds pretty good as well. It's a very stiff car, this one. The suspension is quite firm, and when you hit potholes or cracks in the road, it's quite crashy as well. So it's not really a pleasant experience when you're driving it at slow speeds. And that has led a lot of people to say that it's just too stiff to use on public roads. But if you ask me, I kind of disagree with that. I mean, sure, it is pretty uncomfortable, but you have to remember that you're driving a trophy version of an RS product. Which basically means that this is the most driver-focused car of the lineup. I personally expected this car to have a harsh ride even before seeing it, because of that very reason I just told you. But fortunately, the stiff suspension doesn't mean that the car jumps around, and it's not stable when you drive it hard. Quite the opposite actually. It's pretty planted on the road despite these awful weather conditions. It's probably my favorite feature of this car, how well it grips to the road and how easily I got used to driving it. It's so predictable, and that gives you a lot of confidence that the car will do whatever you want it to do, whenever you want it. And as cliche as it may sound, at all times I felt at one with the car. There's very little understeer, body roll is pretty much non-existent, and turning is as sharp as it gets in this segment. The 4Control system is another highly criticized part of the RS Trophy Megane, but for me, I can't even tell if it's working or not. What I meant here is that it doesn't work to upset the handling of the car. But just to quickly explain, this system is an electronically controlled feature that allows the rear wheels to turn. At low speeds they turn in the opposite direction of the front wheels for more maneuverability, while at higher speeds they turn the same way in order to increase stability. But granted, I haven't taken this car to the limit on public roads, and I also highly doubt there's gonna be customers that will do that either. So I don't know. Maybe the 4Control system only acts up when you drive this car on the track. The manual transmission is a bit of a letdown. It feels solid, shifts are short, but it's a bit notchy. And I think that's also the reason why it lacks precision when driving the car at speed. It's not bad, don't get me wrong, but next to the near perfect chassis, sharp steering and fantastic engine, the gearbox feels like the weak link. For me, the interior is probably the most disappointing part of the Megane. I mean, it's not that it's bad, because it's not, but you can kind of tell that it's old. I mean, look at the interior of the new Clio. That would fit very well in this RS Trophy spec. But other than that, the seats are pretty comfortable, although they're pretty narrow for fluffy guys like me. You have a digital instrument cluster over here, the well-known and not very user-friendly infotainment system from Renault. Materials are pretty good for the price. And yeah, you can't really complain about it, except for the fact that it looks pretty old. So where have Renault gone wrong with this Megane RS Trophy? Well, for me, this car only has two drawbacks. The first one would be the fact that it doesn't have an Akrapovic exhaust, which I think previous RS Trophy models, even the Clio, had it. Correct me if I'm wrong. And the second problem is the notchy manual transmission. Apart from that, this is a great car. I really like it. It's definitely my favorite hot hatch design at the moment. I love the wide body appearance it gets from those massive side skirts. And I also think it looks muscular and quite pretty at the same time. Is it my favorite hot hatch at the moment? Well, I have to be honest and say that it's not. For me, that honor still goes to the Honda Civic Type R, mostly because of that epic manual transmission it has. But that's been it for today's video, my friends. I really hope you've enjoyed it. Please give it a thumbs up if you have, and make sure to leave a comment right below the like button. I'm really curious to see what you think about this new Megane RS Trophy. And lastly, make sure you don't forget to subscribe for plenty more videos coming very soon. And until next time, take good care of yourselves, and I'll see you around.